Hey guys, welcome back to another Wuthering Waves video, and today I want to make a guide on who I believe are the top 5 best characters in the game right now. Now that version 1.1's units have been released, Wuthering's meta development is officially underway, and people are getting a feel for what units are the best to invest in long term, since by this point the community should all be stepping into endgame territory. Bear in mind a lot can change within the foreseeable future, especially given the absence of dedicated support units outside of Verina and Baizu. So for all we know, the addition of actual buffers, drivers, and whatnot might drastically alter the strength of certain characters. Be that as it may, these are 5 who I think will be the least, I guess, regret prone. For example, even if we get a new support who makes, I don't know, Lingyang OP, it won't invalidate these 5 units, so you're more than welcome to continue investing in them. First character will be Jinhsi. This should come as no surprise to anyone. Jinhsi is currently the best DPS in the game. On average, Broad Blades have the farthest area coverage of all weapon types, excellent for single target and fighting waves of enemies alike. Her attack rotation is very straightforward and easy to understand, while also being quite forgiving thanks to you being able to swap between characters without cancelling her main buffs. In fact, you want to swap between party members often since that's integral for her forte circuit. The most obvious strength of Jinhsi is her consistent uptime, though her damage depends on how much you fill up her gauge. Before using her Dragon Laser, you're still allowed to use the Dragon Laser even at 0 forte, so by attacking to enter Incarnation, you can go through another rotation and finish with the laser, then do another 4 attacks to re-enter Incarnation and continue with the cycle. Essentially, she's always ready and able to fight, meaning unlike units who can only attack with their Liberation or when their forte gauge is full, Jinhsi can perform combos anytime. Her consistent damage can also be front-loaded as well. If you prime her Liberation and a full forte gauge, you can chain both of them one after another, resulting in players achieving 0-second clears in Tactical Hologram and Tower of Adversity in record time by sequentially pressing E and R for insane amounts of damage, easily above the 6-figure mark. In other words, Jinhsi can do equal parts sustained and burst damage, excelling at both in the process. Speaking of damage, Jinhsi can do a lot with very little. You don't have to go super crazy on stats with her like you might on other characters, because she has so much damage in a base kit as is. All you need is to attach Jue to her main Echo, doesn't matter what stats they have. Current main team for Jinhsi is herself, Verina, which everyone should have give or take, and then Yuanwu or Yinlin, the former of which being a free character that everyone has just by unlocking Tower. So you already have a perfect party for Jinhsi upon obtaining her, one that can supply her with the forte accumulation she needs while she goes to town on everyone. Her synergy with anyone who can perform coordinated attacks also gives her tons of potential for improvement, but she's plenty strong in the current environment as it is. You can kind of tell that she was going to be a big deal considering they made her Sentinel and Echo that works perfectly with her. If that's not an obvious hint of Jinhsi's power, then I don't know what is. I will say though, in fairness, though she more than makes up for it, it might be somewhat difficult to get the hang of her initially, as she wants to frequently swap between party members, but also demands a lot of field time. Nonetheless, it's a case of muscle memory. The more you play her, the more you can autopilot with her. She's an incredible DPS, unlikely to get power crept anytime soon. On the subject of DPS units, our second character will be Changli, the newest release in Wuthering Waves, and possibly the hottest character in the game, in more ways than one. In a similar fashion to her close friend, Changli is also a very well-rounded attacker whose damage is equally spread across almost all of her abilities, making for a very fluid and fun playstyle. She shares a lot of the same playstyle as Jinhsi in regards to building her strength over time to then unleash a massive amount of damage. However, unlike Jinhsi, Changli doubles down in this department. Her forte circuit functions on a charge, wherein by acquiring 4 charges through any combination of intro skill, liberation, or empowered attacks through her resonance skill, the next heavy attack you do will unleash a massive blast of damage in a wide area, resulting in backloaded DPS. Her current main burst combo entails organically stacking up her charges to achieve her first forte circuit, then using her liberation right after, which not only hits like a truck in its own right, but also instantly primes a second cast of forte immediately after. So you can forte, ult, and then forte again for literal thousands of % in damage in the span of a couple seconds, and the area coverage is nothing short of exquisite, exploding all enemies in a radius around her. Changli's shining virtue, in my opinion, is her dual DPS compatibility, because her forte builds up incrementally outside of her ultimate, of which one way of doing so is by her intro skill. She's arguably the best tandem attacker in the game, in that you can play her alongside Jinhsi, Yinlin, Encore, virtually all DPS characters who don't have extended uninterrupted field requirements like Qian and Lingyang. Slot cancelling on Changli can vastly increase her damage output, given that she maintains technically no field time other than the empowered attacks after using her skill, and of course her main burst rotation. You also have every incentive to pair Changli with another attacker, preferably one with a damaging ultimate thanks to her possessing the coveted Liberation plus Elemental Damage Amplify outro skill. Its fusion damage, meaning Encore and Xixia, are the only ones who can take full advantage of it, but even then, the 25% ultimate damage boost alone is excellent, especially on account of most of the strongest characters right now having big nukes for ultimates. Additionally, one thing I neglected to mention with Jinhsi that I plan to cover here is that both Changli and Jinhsi have the ability to attack and perform their full rotations mid-air, allowing them to avoid enemy attacks that only strike the ground, and it also makes Changli a very fluid attacker since if you jump, you can still continue fighting like normal, and she also moves around a lot, letting you chase after enemies that run away. Overall, her damage output's among the best in the game, with the caveat that despite how simple her playstyle is, mastering optimal rotations on her can be very challenging mechanically. But once again, like Jinhsi, Changli has a lot of room for growth in regards to possible future teammates. A classic example of waifu being meta. Next character is going to be Yinlin. Yinlin's playstyle is an interesting hybrid between attacking and supporting. Despite being a rectifier user, Yinlin's first and foremost strength is her outstanding area of effect. Most of her attacks, from normals to skills to abilities, have phenomenal attack ranges, not the least of which being her forte circuit, being larger than even some characters' ultimates. If you use her as your primary attacker, she'll have no trouble clearing any task field or cluster of mobs. Though her attack animations are long, they come with the silver lining of being animation cancelable, either by swapping or by using her other abilities. Unlike Jian, Jinshi, Changli, Encore and such who typically have to go through long strings to get their full damage off, Yinlin doesn't really have combos, making her a decent partner for several of the aforementioned attackers, as she doesn't take up that much field time. For that matter, she can also contribute a fair bit of damage while off-field courtesy of her follow-up attacks through her skill and forte circuit. When played correctly, you can take full advantage of your main attacker's DPS combo while also incorporating Yinlin's due to how low her field time is, getting the best of both worlds. Best of all is that Yinlin's outro skill grants a 25% boost in liberation damage for whoever comes in, adding more incentive for you to pair her with someone who can also nuke enemy squads with their ultimate like Changli, Ginshi, Havoc Rover, and Kalkaro. One other important factor with Yinlin is that like Jinshi, Yinlin can also frontload her burst combo, making her invaluable for speedrunning. Since you can animation cancel her forte circuit with her ultimate, you can layer tons of damage against tons of enemies extremely quickly, while switching to your main attacker to clear out any stragglers if any manage to survive, or alternatively you can stay on Yinlin and use her remaining DPS to finish him off herself. In essence, she's an electro attacker who can more than hold her own in combat by herself, but due to how swap cancelable she is, in addition to a measurable portion of her damage being applicable without having to be on field, Yinlin accidentally ends up working as a tandem attacker even more because she can do all of her stuff while her partner can do all of their stuff. Admittedly, pulling this off consistently will be difficult, and for players who aren't a fan of double-triple swapping all the time it might be a turn-off, but as a hybrid attacker who can either take the field herself or share the stage with someone else, Yinlin ends up being a good companion unit, if not the best, for almost any situation that encourages swapping. That, and she is one of the two hottest units in the game, so you'll enjoy observing her while you play. Alright, let's make some room for a 4-star character, Mortify. 4 stars are still kind of in an ambiguous spot right now, and we're not entirely sure where they stand relative to 5 stars, how big the gap in power is between them, and whatnot. But for the time being, Mortify is a 4-star you definitely want to invest in. His kit's a mixture of on-field and off-field attacking, but you really mostly care only about the off-field attacking. He's a follow-up attacker. His ultimate applies a 10-second buff that causes normal attacks, basic and heavy, to launch a coordinated fusion attack every 0.35 seconds, so virtually every single attack will deal follow-up fusion damage. Excellent for increasing the DPS of any on-field attacker like Jian. Sadly, like I said in my previous video, for some reason Jinshi's incarnation attacks don't set off Mortify's liberation, which is a missed opportunity, but the point still stands. You can use Mortify for just about any scenario as he takes up literally 0 field time. While his ultimate has a duration of only 10 seconds and a cooldown of 20, that can be improved through sequences. Unlocking S1 will make it so skills can also trigger follow-up shots, and S4 extends the duration of his liberation to 17 seconds, giving him almost no loss of uptime. For his final sequence, Mortify gives 20% attack to his entire team just by activating his liberation, with the duration equal to its cooldown, meaning permanent uptime, assuming you can get his energy back up in time. All that's to say, sequences on Mortify are very high priority, so try to get them by any means necessary. To further highlight his tandem attacking role, he can also build up concerto energy very fast, encouraging liberal use of quick swapping, especially for anyone who likes to heavy attack by virtue of his outro skill. Overall, Mortify has one objective: get his ultimate up. From then on, you can just slap him on any carry-based DPS and let them do the rest. The main problem right now is that the fusion element doesn't have the best echo choice, as Inferno Rider is kind of meh. Fortunately though, Mortify can always make use of the Moonlit Cloud set with Impermanent Terror. He does miss out on his own damage output a bit compared to a 5-piece fusion set, but he's more of a damage support anyway, so it's not too big a price. I'd say right now he's definitely one of, if not the best 4-star character in the game. You knew she was gonna be here. Verina is the best support in the game mostly because she's one of like only 2 true support units at the moment, but even by the standards of what she's capable of, I seriously doubt she will fall off anytime soon. Because unlike healers in other gacha games, Verina does much more than just heal. Of course, let's talk about that first. Verina can heal through a number of ways, the main one being her forte circuit, causing heavy and/or aerial attacks to restore HP for the entire party. If at any point you or your party members are injured, just jump in the air, left click a few times and you should be back to full. Also note that said forte empowered attacks will rapidly generate concerto energy, good for quick swap teams. The other ways she can heal are through her outro skill and ultimate, the latter of which also triggering follow-up attacks, very much appreciated by Jinhsi, I'm sure. So in general, Verina can heal a lot for the team. Unless you get one-shotted, you don't have to worry about survival whatsoever, and she even has a contingency for that. Situationally, she has a good insurance policy for you as well. With endgame bosses being dangerous enough to threaten your entire party, every so often Verina can save a party member from certain death with her Grace of Light, stopping them from dying while at the same time providing a fairly substantial shield as well. It's no cure for skill issue mind you, but in a pinch, that can come in handy. Not just that, but she also grants a fair range of buffs. For one, she can give 20% bonus attack to the entire party basically by existing thanks to her inherent skill, and her outro provides an all-type damage boost to the entire party for 30 seconds, the longest lasting buff in the game, perfect for any rotation or party. She has, without question, the best outro skill out of any character. Furthermore, though it's gonna take a fair bit of luck, her fourth sequence can also provide 15% bonus spectral damage for the entire team. Very nice for once again Ginshi. All in all, while Verina does have the benefit of no competition, she's objectively a phenomenal healer and support. The best part is, outside of unlocking her inherent skills, you don't really have to go that crazy with echoes. She doesn't really need high stats to do her job. Most of her important stuff are fixed numbers. I still keep mine at level 70 because there's nothing more she needs to do besides buff and exist. Now, if I had to nitpick one thing I don't really like about her, it's that her intro skill pops her up in the air after attacking, which means you have to wait for her to land on the ground before you can use echoes and stuff. Just a minor nitpick though. Alrighty, that concludes my top 5 best characters for Wuthering Waves. If you have any questions on any of them, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. For now though, if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe would be much appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter @VarsFair, join my Discord server, and check out my other Wuthering Waves videos if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.